for Rebecca Taylor.
Me. Thanks, guys. It was okay. So, first of all, shout out to your technical team for troubleshooting the issues, getting my ass on, first of all. So, big love to Steve and Conrad and your team. They did amazing. So, we were about to have an existential crisis thinking we'd have to do this via audio, but I love you both very, very much, not only as friends, but mentors, just industry leaders. I love you and I'm happy to be here. I don't even know where to start, but I do want to say one thing. You mentioned Sherry, before I forget about it, you mentioned like, the states are mandating, the guidelines and all that. And we'll get into this more, but I took on a coaching project, and I know you're going to probably prompt a lot of questions about that to do with mental health and our conversations or whatever. But actually, they reopened, or we're going to reopen Saturday in New Mexico with zero government guidelines, not a one, not a single, nothing. It was implemented, and so she just had to look to other states that were reopening, and they were just off on their own. No PPE, no guidelines, nothing. So I've been talking to a lot of stylists all over the world, and it's just like you said, it's different for everybody. Like, for example, in Maryland right now, you can only have one client and one stylist in a salon, and I know somebody personally, it's a large salon, so you that's it, that's the way it works. And you can't, it's just, we're all having to make, well, people that have gone back to work are having to make huge sacrifices and pivot and change, and the new normal that we're all trying to navigate is crazy. It's different for everybody, so it's really hard to keep track of. But that's what I just wanted to mention, that about it being crazy that some states are saying, here, go to work, but we're not going to tell you how to stay safe or what to use or PPE or any guidelines, and you have to look to maybe Georgia or Florida or Texas, or don't even get me started on Texas. But there's, once we reopen, it's unfortunate that, in a lot of places, reopening is happening a little too soon. And no matter what side of the fence you're on, I've been very vocal about my side, but I'm also very accepting and understanding of everybody's choice or necessity to go back to work. So I've been vocal about mine, but it's just a shame that if you reopen early and then you see a huge influx of, like, the contraction of the virus, or it's just sad to see. Honestly, it's sad to see. So anyway, enough boo talk. Let's talk to me, ask me stuff. I don't want to
Yeah, no, it's
ramble.
okay, because I mean, I think that that's
No.
the point, right? That it's hard for
Yeah.
everyone. We see the comments coming in. Liza is from South Africa. They're still fighting to open salons. You've got, I mean, I'm sorry, Franz from South Africa. Liza saying it's the same in Wisconsin. And I think it's this number one, you're just looking for leadership, right? You want someone to say, this is what's going on, this is what we need to do, this is what you need to do when you go back to business. And guess what? If it's the same virus in every state, in every country, then the reaction to it, we would think, would be the same. And as
Mm-hmm.
humans, we're looking for that sort of guidance, direction, leadership. And I think when it's all over the place, it's that anxiety, that lack of knowing, the going like, okay, what is right? What isn't right? You hear so many different things that causes this inner turmoil, which then can cause many other things, which I know you're super
Absolutely.
passionate about, Rebecca. So why don't you
Okay.
tell our viewers here and our watchers later for the post episodes as it's posted, what has been
Mm-hmm.
going on with you, and what are some things that you've been sort of keeping focus on in order to get yourself and others through this very difficult time?
Okay, so I'm gonna, for me, gonna do the abridged version.
Yeah.
Really, really gonna try to, So, so I was born in '81. No, I'm just kidding. So at the begin, at the beginning of, okay, so we closed our salon. We're in West Hollywood. If anybody isn't familiar with anything I've talked about on my platform, so I instantly knew, I felt that it was best to close early, immediately, given what was happening in New York, and given that,
Yeah.
like, every day we're seeing more cases and it being so uncertain. safety was like my utmost concern. I needed to protect my staff. Most of my staff, and myself included, have extreme autoimmune issues and are at risk. So we closed very, very early. We've been closed for 60 plus days since March 12th. And in California, first they said maybe June. I honestly, I respect the fact that our governor is being ultra safe. That again is just my opinion and my position. I don't judge other people that are like, give us our right to work. I totally respect that viewpoint. But my feeling is that, it's better to kind of see what happens and, just safe, better. It's better to be safe than to, see a bunch of crazy things happen. So they said June, then they said July, then they said we're not even going to give you a phase. It's indefinite. So TBA as far as when we can reopen. Don't know when I'm going to reopen the salon. So my first week of quarantine, like a lot of us, I'm sure, was, oh my God. First of all, I can't do hair. I can't make money. My staff, I try not to get emotional, but you guys fucking know me. I get really emotional. Oh, can I curse on this? I didn't know if I could or
Yeah,
not.
you're all right.
But I'm gonna keep it. It's not your channel, Sherry, so I'm gonna like keep it to a minimum. But I'm a huge empath, and so my first thought was, let me get it together. Red Bull, come for me. I've been doing a lot of breathing lately. Woosa. Okay. So my first thought is like, how are my staff gonna survive? Not me, but hold on, let me get my shit together.
It's okay. It's all right.
How are my staff gonna survive? Because I feel responsible for them. So the first thing I did was said, no more rent. You're paying no more rent until I'm not gonna have the salon closed and you pay rent. And I know other salon owners have had or chosen to do, see, it goes just as quick as it comes. So anyway, they've chosen to still continue, like suites and stuff have still made their clients, or I mean their stylists, pay rent throughout the closure. And for me, that was just not gonna happen. So instantly, no more paying rent. And when we do go back, they get a month of just working for free to get on their feet again. So let me get it together. Okay, I just think about my staff, and it's just like your family,
Yes.
That's you guys know I'm incredibly emotional, but I am gonna get it together. I'm not gonna cry this whole time. It's just hard for all of us. So the first week was very hard. It was hard to get out of bed. I didn't have any routine. I was just mentally in a bad place. And then the second week, I was like, I can't do this. We don't know how long this is going to last. I can't live like this. I can't be productive. I love Brene Brown. Love her. And if you guys really want some good shit, she started her first podcast right when quarantine started. So it's everything to do with like coping right now, specifically to do with the virus and everything that's going on, like anxiety, mental health, what have you. So she mentioned one about anxiety, and you either are incredibly overproductive or you're underproductive. So my first week, I was super unproductive. Like my anxiety, I couldn't do anything. I was like paralyzed with anxiety. And then I went right into overproductivity. For me, I'm realizing, and I'm sure a lot of people are realizing during this time with nothing to do but to think and to ruminate and to all day, every day. We're discovering a lot of things about ourselves and about our patterns and what we want to change and our identity, especially being tied to our identity as a hairstylist. And if we're not a hairstylist, who are we? What do we do? So that's why it's been very difficult for people. But she speaks about being ultra overproductive and underproductive. And so, like I said, after that first week, I went right into unhealthy overproductivity. And so I was like, I just want to help everybody. I want to give money away, which now I'm like, fuck, I really could use that. But I'm glad I did it. I'm really sorry. Alfredo was like, who do we have on here today? You know who you got on.
He knows.
I love
you
you.
both
I
know.
love you, and I love this. I think it's our first cuss words on R&B, but I'm not mad at it.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be.
You don't have to be sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Okay.
Yes, I don't know why he's being like the church lady. Don't you worry.
I'm like not being the church. I've
lady.
teared. I'm laughing. I'm everything. It's like
Alfredo.
We were backstage and they had the banquet blankets, so we put the choir robes on and we were like, I'll send you the
I do remember. I do remember.
Have we lost?
Oh no.
Okay, if our team backstage can get a message, we've got some audio situations here, but in the meantime, why don't we first of all, if we're not getting it all now, then we're going to ask Rebecca to certainly do a video with us because she is incredibly passionate about what she's been doing, and it makes a lot of sense while she's working out it looks like she's working out an audio thing. But let's go to another question. We've got another question that was sent in to us.
Oh, we do, don't we?
Yeah.
Hey, this is Micah from York, South Carolina at Rival Salon and Color Studio. One of my questions is, what is everybody doing to accommodate guests and staff who have opposing opinions on social distancing and masks versus no masks in the salon once we go back to work?
I do love seeing these. It's amazing.
I do too.
It's so see them from everywhere that they're at and what's going on. So that's absolutely fantastic. So yes. So the question being, there might be people who don't feel the same. I live on New York City. I take my dog on a WALK. I don't want to get her all excited. And people are walking right next to each other. They pass right close. Yesterday, I actually, had to chat with a man because he coughed just out into the universe and then spat on the ground right where I was getting ready to walk with the dog. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I know you don't live under a rock. That's not really what I said, but that is what I was thinking, because then I had to take the dog all the way around, and then it's in front of where I walk every day. So then I asked the restaurant people to please hose it down. Like, it's a really interesting thing. So you are going to have people out there who do not agree with the same things. At the end of the day, this isn't about a personal opinion. This is about the measures that need to be respected in order to keep yourselves and everyone around you safe. It is only about that. So it's not about whether you want to wear one, whether you don't want to wear one, whether you heard that, whether you've already had it, etc. You do what the right thing is to respect the rules. As I'm going to be all like the rule lady, right? Respect the rules, because the rules are put in place to keep you safe. Now, if you have a salon, and I heard this from Braden, I think on Thursday, and you have clients who aren't respecting those rules that you've put in place for your salon, and you have stylists who aren't respecting those rules, then I think he said the first time you get a warning, and then the second time you may it's either the second or the third time you get charged. And I think it was like a couple $100. And they were like, what, you're going to take my money? And he's like, if you're going to put people in a compromising situation that is much more than that, than just about those couple $100, then yes, I'm going to, because it's all about the rules of the salon. So I would just go back, if you want to go back on the Redkin page and Instagram TV. Braden every week has been doing a back to business series with me. It's called Old Fashions and New Business. And yes, we drink old fashions. Yes, I think mine are probably probably better than his. And one day we'll have Alfredo do the taste test. And in the meantime, he is going through some of those things. So go back and see it. Now, in the other meantime, we have Rebecca Taylor back with us.
I'm sorry.
Standing. And there she is.
Yes,
Woo-hoo!
I'm sorry. My little buds crapped out. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
We can hear
Okay,
you.
good. Okay, I don't know what I was crying about. No, I'm just kidding. But when I had a similar experience to you, and this, geographically, there are just so many different scenarios. Like there are rural areas, and then there are big cities. I mean, you guys live in NYC. I live in West Hollywood. I had a similar situation. I'm always with a mask on, no matter what, because even if I didn't like it, it gave me anxiety, it makes me uncomfortable. I do it for other people. I think it's not only a guideline, but just say it's just why not do it? And that's the very frustrating thing to me, is that there are people that do it and don't do it because of whatever reason. And if it's just that if we all can just unify and buckle down and just follow these certain guidelines, who knows how much quicker that we can get a handle on this. You know what I mean? It's just very frustrating that some people right now, there's stages of just dealing with stuff. And right now, a lot of people are in that bargaining restlessness, like, well, I haven't seen anything, so I'm not going to wear my mask anymore. So I've been seeing more and more people. And when I walk to Ralph's, actually, I don't know if maybe like a shelter got the funding got shut down, but as you know, in big cities, there's a lot of homelessness. There's a lot of people with mental illness, a lot of people, just a lot of people. It's populated. So I was walking to Ralph's, and I was walking by, and a gentleman pushed a shopping cart into me, and then spat on me yesterday. And I was just like, oh, like that was scary. It's scary. So I feel you, I mean, I'm glad you had a talk with that person, but I think this person for sure had some, a mental illness. And so I wasn't going to try to explain safety and masks.
Right.
I was just going to haul ass into Ralph's and be like, save me,
Yeah.
But, it's just, it's different in different parts of the country. And so when you're in a maybe rural area and you're not seeing the cases and things like that, it may be hard to understand, and it may be that bargaining phase where like, well, I don't have to because there aren't a lot of people, and what have you. But I'm not going to get into all of just the insane, just bombarding resources and media and da 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 da. There's just, it comes from everywhere. But my position has been, consider the source of where you're getting your information. And I particularly choose to get my information from scientists, medical professionals, I don't know, trusted, like not necessarily even, I mean, of course, government protocols, because then I know what my state says that I can do as far as work. But I still have the choice as a stylist, as a salon owner, whether or not I want to reopen based on the information that I'm getting from medical professionals and frontline workers and what have you. So what I'm hearing from a lot of my coaching clients is that their state's reopening, but they have so much anxiety because they don't feel safe yet. Either they have a immune issue, or now that there's the adaptation of the virus, that kids are being affected. They don't want to take it home to their families. They feel sick to death, mentally and with anxiety. Like, what if I'm the cause of someone in my salon, some guest being sick or whatever, and them take it home to their family. There's so much anxiety surrounding reopening, and there's just so many like intricate ins and outs. But as far as PPE goes, I started the day we closed ordering PPE from Amazon. Now it's incredibly difficult to acquire via Amazon, because now it's like either sold out, incredibly like higher, like more, the prices increase because it's in high demand. And I just been getting little bits at a time. I haven't been hoarding because I felt like, the frontline people maybe, needed access to it before us as stylists do. but now I have a full on comprehensive kit of like the thermometer. I even have booty foot covers. I've got plastic aprons, disposable towels. I've got, you name it, I've got it. UV this, and you name it. And actually I'm gonna be making a video where I do a salon tour and show
Great.
every
Love that.
single thing that I have. And I've got some tips and tricks that I've not seen anybody share before. One little tidbit is that my boyfriend used to be in HVAC, so he knows about the filtration systems or whatever. Well, there's actually a filtration system that's fairly inexpensive that it's a HEPA type filter, but also has UV light. So once the air is filtered through, it's filtered through like UV light as well as the HEPA filter. So I'm talking about some, crazy radical things just to make yourself feel super safe about reopening. So yeah, my standpoint about PPE and safety is I haven't changed my position. I won't. I'm just gonna continue being in quarantine and staying at home, and only necessity trips and nature trips away from people until California says we can do otherwise. Because when they opened the beaches for a day, it was bombarded.
Yes.
You couldn't social distance, and then there was a giant influx. There was like 13 or 1800 cases overnight, and that was like a huge jump from before they implemented. So
Yeah.
there's so much there's so many statistics showing, but that's loaded. One thing I want to say is what is most important to me is that we don't become divided. We we have enough going on to fight and bicker. So what I could, girl and boy, girls,
Girl, you tell me.
babies. Anyway, so as far as like my mentor, I've been making graphics. I've got like a 50-page questionnaire. Like I am like going hard and heavy. I'm writing a damn book in quarantine, and I'm also creating like just that's for a later date. But I have been researching like almost obsessively everything to do with mental health, all of the practices for the salon. What the heck was I saying before I started? It was really good, and it was coaching, and it was I can't remember what it was before I showed you that graphic. Do you guys remember?
No, but let's talk a little bit about your coaching, because
Okay.
Yeah.
we know what we know, and people are excited to see your video, is that you are going to implement some very extraordinary and
Yeah.
awesome measures to keep yourself as well as your clients and of course your family of stylists safe. So we'll wait for that video. How are you helping yourself as well as others stay,
Yeah.
mentally and emotionally safe?
Well, Sherry, as you know, thank goodness that you you actually helped me through a difficult time, because I was losing it. I was losing it because I took on too much too quick because of that overproductivity. Just act, help,
Yeah.
fix, and then I put myself on the back burner, and I don't know why I'm crying again. It just comes out physically as water, and I don't necessarily feel an emotional
Oh,
thing. It just comes out. But
get her
so if I
back,
do it,
Steve.
just
Get
I'm
her
not going to talk
back.
about it. We'll keep moving past it. But I put myself last. I ended up, you know, just like impulsive. I'm very impulsive. I don't know if you know that about me, but I did it in a live, and I said, I just feel like I need to help. So in a live, not ever a post, no construct, no, just nothing. I said I would be offering coaching where I would be doing the resources, and I would be, setting up the construct was like several 3 sessions a day on whatever they wanted to focus on. The questionnaire was what do they need most right now. So I felt myself being like a therapist, and the PPE, the salon stuff, just everything. It was overwhelming. I couldn't say no to but I couldn't say no to anybody who contacted me for coaching. And I honestly made the price so low because I didn't want this to be like, like a way really to make like I don't know. I had to charge something obviously for the work that I was doing. And Alfredo, you mentioned about like being guilty about increasing the prices or whatever. Well,
Yeah.
hell, PP is expensive. All the extra time, you can't feel guilty about charging what you need
Yeah.
to charge. Okay, so I did charge a low price, and then I ended up going bananas on Amazon to buy all these beautifully curated binders that I'm going to make for people. So I ended up losing money on the coaching to begin with, but I was helping people and I impacted a lot of people. But I hit a wall probably a weekend and had a really like messed up Hashimoto's flare up, knocked me on my ass. And so actually, after speaking with you, Sherry, you put a lot of things in perspective. And I went kind of public about it on my platform, which is my therapy. Honestly, being real on my platform and talking about what I'm going through. Not only I feel like does it make me relatable, and there's just so much perfection and curated, like everything's great, and like quotes, and I just feel like there needs to be more rawness, maybe not to this extent, but like speak the truth and be vulnerable, because you don't know, other people are going through the same shit. So when they see you going through stuff, um it's relatable. They don't feel so alone. They feel like everybody's going through it. Instagram's not perfect, people aren't perfect. And what I had a thought about was that when I was in my overproductive getting things done phase, which I'm back in, by the way, and I'm trying to pace myself, that's what I learned. People might see me online doing that and have guilt, like I should be doing that, because I do that. Because when I'm at a low point, or when I was going through my Hashimoto shit, I was like seeing people like busting out mannequins and, like just, doing all the stuff. And I was like, I should be doing that. And, the whole comparison thing. But maybe when in my productivity mode, someone could be watching me and being the same thing. Like, oh, I should be, it's perspective. So Sherry, you told me to put myself first, and I took on too much, which I did. And so that later that night, I was public about everything that was going on. It was enormous weight lifted off my shoulders, and I ended up refunding everybody that I hadn't started working with yet, because I was literally booked from the day I started until the middle of June with no days off. That's what I did. I couldn't say no to anybody. And so I made myself sick, literally sick. And so mental health is very important. The messed up thing, I'm in a great place right now. And I don't know why I'm crying. It's just like there's just so much that people are going through. Myself included. You guys, you're in New York. I'm like terrified of my friends like in New York. When Mustafa got sick, I had a meltdown for a day. I was just like, oh my God. It's just heavy, but you know what? It's all right to feel your feelings, and it's all right to be vulnerable, because being vulnerable just means you're real. You don't have to hide it. You don't have to be fake.
Yeah.
We're going through something the world has never gone through, ever.
That's right.
Ever. How the hell are you going to navigate it? You feel it, you get the tears out, you don't apologize for it, which I've apologized because this is a live thing and I don't want to look like a complete wreck. But
you don't. Everybody's saying big hugs. You're not alone. Lots of love. Don't you worry. You don't look like a wreck. You look like you're you, representing one person, representing what so many people are feeling. Please don't apologize. Sending love.
Thank you. I'm just not. I'm just a crier. I cry because I'm happy.
Yeah, me too.
I cry. Good. I know we talked. Yes, I know. And I thank God. And I cry when I'm happy. I cry for commercials. I cry when I laugh. I cry when I'm upset. I'm a crier. I can't help it. So when it starts, it's like the seal's broken. So I mean, of any other time, I think it's a pretty acceptable time to feel your emotions, to go through them. Because bottling them up is just going to manifest themselves in physical ways, and you're just going to explode at some point. So, and that is also the advice that you gave me, is just, speak. I can't even tell you how grateful I am for the discussion we had. But like after I finally like cleared my schedule and had days to take care of myself, essentially, and to be with my family. I wasn't even like seeing my brother. Those of you that don't know, like we took my brother in the end of January he moved from Florida to California, right in the nick of time because he was in a bad way, you know, didn't really have a stable living situation. So I'm very grateful that we have him, but that's another thing. And so shout out to the parents who are homeschooling right now. Oh my gosh. I mean, he's a teen. So, I mean, you guys handling the littles day in and day out and now going back to work. Superheroes, mothers are superheroes. So whatever the case, stepmoms, whatever the case, any kind of mother figure, you guys are amazing. So props to you guys. But I wasn't spending time with my family. I wasn't spending time with my partner. I wasn't spending time on myself. I was doing yoga like every single day. And during that time, I put myself on the back burner, and being an empath and feeling people's pain every single day on the phone without even like having a construct of how I'd even do it or boundaries. Or my very first session, I stayed on the phone for maybe 4 hours in the morning with somebody, my very first client. And it was like I was a therapist, and it was out of the realm of what I was comfortable with or what I should be talking about. It was like, you should speak with a therapist kind of stuff. And like, I just wanted to help and give advice and industry stuff. And now I've gotten to a place where it's limited. I have a few people that I've been working with. LA, sorry, sirens all the time, everywhere. You remember Alfredo? It's
Come to New York. It's like by that times a million. Yeah.
I can't even say anything. I know. I yeah. Go to India. Yo, India.
We were just there, Sherry.
I know. Yeah. I heard honking horns in my dreams for like a year. Like, I don't even know. It was nuts. But that's how they say I'm going right, I'm going left. Is the do 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 do. They like communicate in traffic via horn. Not anyway. But I've gotten in a great place with this coaching. This is something now that I have. It's a self-discovery. It's what I want to pursue moving forward. This is a time for self-discovery. I mean, I still want to do hair and I still want to educate, absolutely. But for 17 years, I've done nothing but obsessively focus on doing hair and doing, demos and what have you. That's why I didn't want to do a demo on here. It's because I feel like there's loads of education online. I mean, if you scroll through 8 years or however long of my Instagram, you can watch hundreds and hundreds of hours of education. So I feel like right now that I have something more that I can offer. And that's pivoting, I as soon as I realized that I couldn't do hair, or that I didn't feel motivated to do hair. And I felt like for the first time after 17 years of just, like I said, obsessively living it, breathing it. And again, making being a stylist my identity. That was my sole identity. I realized like I'm a human outside of hair. I remembered what hobbies were. I like didn't have any hobbies. I didn't do anything. I didn't see my friends very often. I was like, shit, there's life outside of this industry. So, but it's balance. And now that I'm in a good headspace and I'm helping people, PS, the people that I've worked with have made miraculous strides. I've started talking to people, their first day they were mental wrecks and couldn't get out of bed and were like extremely depressed and what have you. And I've got people doing yoga 2 times a day and on their local news, freaking starting up coalitions. Like I'm like, yes, it's working. So I just needed to downsize and focus on, I spread myself way too thin. And so now I'm able to focus on myself. I'm able to focus on the people I'm working with. And now I want to do hair again. And I did my chunks, my chunky nouveau. Yeah. So I got the mannequins busted out. I'm like, I'm there again. I wasn't there for 60 days, but after 17 years, I think you deserve a break. Maybe of not doing hair for, whatever. I wasn't feeling that like needed in that way,
Yeah.
So now I feel like gung ho. It's like, send me all the products, send me all the heads. I just want to color everybody and all the
I
wigs.
love you.
Like, I'm so ready. So I'm there again, but I just needed to process. And I think, it's about relevancy and timing. My voice is cracking. I'm going through puberty. So um it's you two. I feel like we're just hanging like normal.
Yeah.
But I forget there's other people watching us. So anyway, I can't wait to see you guys again in person. But it's a process. It's just a process, and I'm going to be sharing a lot more on my page. And speaking of content, another thing, I wasn't drawn to hair content. I was drawn to humor. I was drawn to doing things that I wasn't comfortable with doing, like makeup tutorials, which make people laugh. And that's what people need right now. They need a reprieve from going to social media and just doom, gloom, anxiety, depression, what have you. Like they need to curate. First of all, people need to curate their media consumption and to not be bombarded with stuff that's going to incite anxiety and fear and depression or whatever. How should I say this? Consume content and media outlets or whatever that are factual and that are uplifting and motivational and educational and that make you laugh and that make you feel good, because you know what, we need joy right now. We need joy. And I'm going to do a post soon after we're done with this about how I feel about the situation. My novels and my posts, I'm very vocal. So it's just kind of where I'm at, what I've been doing, and structure has been pivotal. And Sherry, I gotta give you props on this. I've been doing my morning gratitude. I recently implemented, I was waking up at 7:30. That's one thing I'm proud of. Ever since quarantine, no matter my first bell jar week, after that, no matter what, I always woke up at 7:30, no matter what. That was something that I didn't want to deviate away from because I knew I might sleep all day. So, but now I'm like, I don't have enough time in the day to do all the things I want to do. So now I've switched it to 6 a.m. So I've got post-it notes everywhere. Actually, one over there says, "Don't you effing hit that snooze button, you dumbass," right on my phone. And I put my phone away from arm's reach, so I have to get out of bed to turn the alarm off. So
Okay.
little tips and tricks.
Smart.
And so and you should see my bathroom. It's just 50 million post-it notes, with reminders. And Sherry, again, I've been logging like my gratitude in the morning. That gets you in like your state, like a good positive peak state, and you like meditate separately on the things you have gratitude for. And then my thing is making the bed first thing in the morning. It's a small step, but this one, like, I don't know if he's Army Navy. He was some general. It was like a graduation commencement speech, and he talked about making the bed. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it
No.
was I'll try to find it and post it on my page. But it's powerful, and it's talking about like structure and routine, and about how something as small as when you wake up in the morning, making your bed sets the tone of the day, because it's not just waking up, throwing the covers, and then there's just like, I don't know, it's a symbolic thing for me that I've implemented. So
Yeah.
I'm doing the waking up thing, the gratitude thing. Got to take my slew of medications for my thyroid / whatever the hell I got going on thing. And then journal, yoga, coaching, content. And then I recently have been doing a little too much, but I'm learning to not have guilt if I don't get every single thing done in a day that I had planned. And taking just guilt in general. I'm trying to get rid of the horrible habit of guilt for
Yeah.
just guilt in general,
Yeah.
And the last thing I do at night, also nod to Sherry, is I write my wins in my journal. So before I go to bed, I write down what I accomplished that day, or I was proud of, or what I did right. And then one last thing I'll say is that I limit my social media consumption. I try really hard to, anyway, not 1 hour. What am I trying to say? When I wake up, 1 hour, no social media, and then I can ease into it. And then right before I go to bed, no social media 1 hour prior to going to bed, because you don't need to be bombarded with everything, all the chaos, especially Facebook. Kind of like about Facebook right now. Kind of like about Facebook. I know there's positive places. They're good outlets, but I scroll and I'm like, who are these? I don't even know these people with these posts. I'm like, block, delete, mute, 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 mute. My mute finger is hot. Anyway, I'm serious. I have actually unfollowed some people that I've actually been scared to scared, just wondering about the ramifications. I don't give flying shit. Some people need to be mute or blocked during this time.
Yeah.
Because again, consider the source when you get your information. So anyway, that's all I got to say about the practice. I love you, Alfredo.
I love you.
I love you. I love you more. So, you got to protect your space. You got to protect yourself from what you're consuming. And so there's so many just different practices and routines. And that is, my friends, what I am a healthy obsession is gathering. I actually am going to show you. This is a fraction, a fraction. Think 12 times this many books and magazines and whatever, and just really compiling all of the reading and studying and podcasts, and just like a Cliff Notes version of what's worked for me, what I've witnessed in the industry. And I really am, my goal is to like publish this as a book, and not just to do with the virus, but the new normal and the industry in general, and what have you. So I've rambled on enough. Let me shut my mouth. And if there's anything you guys have to say or any questions, I'm done I'm done hearing myself speak for a moment.
You're so funny. First, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Big
Thank you, guys.
love. People feel like a big shout out to you. We break and repair, and like a tree, we grow stronger.
Oh, I love that.
So
Amen.
Lots of love. Fran says you are a Wonder Woman.
A very emotional Wonder Woman, but thank you, Fran. It is okay.
That's okay.
It is.
I think that's a strong Wonder Woman.
It is
an
a
emotional
strong Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And then Rebecca,
Thank
you do another thing called something and share.
Oh, Sharepie. Okay, so
Yeah.
and I have budgeted. There are certain things that financials. I'm not gonna bitch, but financials are rough. Still paying rent on a salon and an apartment in West Hollywood, but I'm not gonna complain. I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful. I have opportunities. However, I'm budgeting because we don't know how long this is gonna go on. But one thing I am not going to do without is therapy. That is one thing that I'll do without, my whatever snacks for a week before I do without therapy. So when I get therapy, a lot of my concerns and issues are a lot of my peers' issues as well. So I will have my therapy session and I will go live right afterwards, and I will share everything my therapist shared with me, and I call it Sharepie. And since I paid for it and it's budgeted for me, and maybe some people don't have that in their budget, let me save you some coin, babes, and I'll just share my therapy with y'all, and then we have a discussion about it. And that's what I do because I feel like it's important. I mean, I make no claim that I'm a therapist. I'm like, this is what she told me. This is how I have translated it and how it, it pertains to my life and probably you guys' situation. But this is just the information and the advice that she's given me. And between the advice you, Sherry, you've given me, and my therapist, Pam, has given me, I share all that. You guys know I put every little possible thing detail of my life on my social, but it's cathartic, it's therapeutic, and I've done it since as long as I can remember, and I'm not going to stop doing it now.
That's right. I love it. I think there's earlier you said you have to curate what you're watching on social. And I loved that because, you know, if you don't, you just get bombarded with all of this other stuff. But we
Yeah.
curate our content to put up there. We should curate what we're receiving on our other end and what we're scrolling through and engaging in as well, because that does sort of imprint in us in one way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
Everyone that's watching is loving this so much. They love how
Thank
real
you guys.
are. Make sure you're following Rebecca, obviously at Rebecca Taylor Hair, which is on the, I don't know why I'm looking down there. That's where the comments are coming in, but nobody can see me. But Rebecca, I love the Sherapy. I love everything that you're doing online.
Thank you.
I love what you're doing to help others. And I know that you're going to continue to be a guiding light for those that need it, which is something that you said that you wanted to do, was to share with people who are, number one, going through what you're going through, because if you're learning something, you can help them learn something, and that you can also maybe help them from getting to a place that you've been in the past. And I think your experiences and you sharing them from a very real place is a very good thing. So never censor your realness.
Thank you.
Ashley says you're one of the kindest people ever.
Aww.
So so sweet. I know. See, she cries when she's happy too. So it's all good. There's lots of tears. You know, she didn't wear glitter or eyelashes today.
I was going to, but we had a technical difficulty, and I am trying to, deal with the audio and the visual, and I'm trying to slather glitter on for you, and I'm like, listen, I gotta, prioritize. So this was the priority.
Yeah, and I'm glad, because I don't know what that would have looked like had it, I think it was the perfect thing to have happen. You are a sweet, sweet, kind soul.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you shared your time with us today, and that we got thank you to the Wolf and White team for getting all of the technical shit worked out.
Yes, sorry about that. That could have been on my end. I don't know, but it worked out.
Yeah, no, it worked out. It was a great thing to end on. It says here that you are the lighthouse in other people's storms. So with that,
I love that.
Before I lose it,
I'm getting verklempt. Talk amongst yourselves. Hold on. Okay. Anyway, you guys are so kind. I really appreciate it. I'm just going to keep doing what I do. I mean, it may not always be pretty, or it ain't going to be polished, but it is what it is. And I appreciate all of the love so much. And I appreciate this opportunity. I've been looking forward to this since you told me I was going to do it. And then when Wolf and it's Steve, I'll just say Steve instead of Wolf and White. He was like, send me a picture of you. We'll just do audio. And I'm like, no, I dressed up for the occasion. I still have my yoga clothes on, but anyway. And I was like, do I have to get dressed up? And he's like, be authentic. I was like, okay.
You only gotta tell me once, huh?
You don't have to tell me at all, actually. Anyhow, okay. I appreciate you guys so much. I love you so much. I don't know what's gonna happen in the future with shows and events, but one of my favorite things to do, it's hair shows, and it's connecting with people. But I feel like the new normal, we can still connect even though we're not physically connecting.
Yes.
You know what, talk about paradigm shift or whatever, people mentioned before. This is the shift of all shifts, and we have so much power to connect digitally and still educate. So while there may not be shows, to be safe, I'm just so excited to be a part of this new normal and to educate and share. And I want to do more R&Bs. I want to do Redkin shit. I want to do everything. I just want to do it all. I just want to share. So
yeah, well, don't you worry about it. You absolutely will.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
We are going to find ways to be powerful and touch more in this now normal. And
you guys have been so, I apologize for interrupting, but I have to say this, Sherry, and to you, Alfredo, you guys totally led the way in this free education movement with R&B. And I know how hard you work because I speak to both of you. frequently. You guys work from the moment you wake up to, I'm like texting Alfredo and he's like, I'm still doing this. And Sherry, she finds the time to speak with me, but she's like, it's going to be like 12. Is that okay? I'm like, you guys have put in insane amounts of work doing this and supporting stylists and just being amazing from the beginning. And, you know, just the resources and just thank you both. Seriously. Why am I crying? Thank you guys so much.
Oh, it's
for
our
all that you
pleasure.
do.
It's our pleasure.
It is.
And it's actually what we both you know, have in our hearts as our mission statement, which is to help other people to live best. And and that's, I'm not saying that because that's a Redkin thing, Alfredo. It's
No.
it was a Sherry thing long before it was a Redkin thing.
No, I
Sorry.
agree.
I have phantom spirit moves from the shows.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. You'll see them come back.
I'm
we have
ready.
some guests that are saying, obviously sending love, and that this is the last Monday that because they're going back to work. First of all, congratulations. Please be safe as you go back to work.
Please.
And also, not to, you know, don't worry if you miss it, because it's always going to be on the playlist and you can always watch it later when you get back from work. In case you miss us, Liza, and you want to be near to us after you go back to work, you can do that. You can visit Alfredo tomorrow, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, New York time, on his page on Instagram, and then on Thursdays with me, where we do a little between the spill the tea and between the sparkle. We had to make it fun.
That was fun. That was a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry. There's going to be more. Good. And Rebecca, you're awesome. Thank you so much for being such a great light to all of us and to everyone out there. And please make sure everybody, you're just checking in on Rebecca's page often, because everyone's saying that they will for sure. So thank you, Rebecca.
We love you.
Sending love. I'm going in for a hug.
I know.